night features James Lights Out Toney in our profile section. 1 of 4, remember? And we're going to start off with James Toney winning the IBF Middleweight Championship in 11 rounds against Michael Nunn back in October of '91. This is round 3. Michael Nunn boxing really well, catching Toney with all kinds of punches from all different angles. And it's fair to say that James Toney came from behind and needed to. This is round 11. Big left hook from James Toney flattens Michael Nunn. He got up to beat the count, but Toney sensed his opportunity and jumped on Nunn and never let him off the hook. So that captured the IBF Middleweight Championship for James Toney, who of course is the current IBF Super Middleweight Champion.
At first, what happened, me and Mike, we had to went through a whole big barrage before the fight. And my game plan was to go out there and box and, just take my time, take my body shots, and slow him down. I lost my head and tried to go for the big knockout punch, And I thought I lost the first 6 rounds, but after that, I started slowing him down with the body shots, and I caught up with him. And boom, there he is, he's out.
Next up, we're going to see James Toney in terrible shape when he fought Francesco Della Chia in Italy. This was in fact his second defence of the IBF Championship, and James Toney actually came in considerably overweight for the match, but the IBF, in their wisdom, decided that Toney could defend his championship anyway. He should have been forced to take off the weight. I do believe they said that had Della Chia won, the championship would have been declared vacant, which seems also rather odd of the IBF. But we've seen some shenanigans with these so-called world ruling bodies over the years, and no real surprises, is there? Della Chia game, but that's, I'm afraid, about it. James Toney, of course, likes to call himself the baddest man on this planet. And you can see a roll of flesh hanging over his trunks. As I say, he didn't prepare well for this one at all. Referee Frank Cappuccino. Big shots there. Della Chia on the floor. He got up. So a bad start then for Francesco Della Chia. James Toney looking for the early finish. It looked like he'd get it, but Della Chia very gamely standing his ground. There's no doubt that James Toney can punch. Unbeaten, of course, in his entire career. But for how much longer, I wonder? We saw here, of course, the IBF doing Toney a favour as far as the weight is concerned, but they've also got an extraordinary method of scoring. Whether official or unofficial, they tend to side with the champion in the event of a close round. That means, of course, that if an IBF champion levels a round, he's in fact awarded it. So very little chance of an IBF champion losing their title on points in a close match. So Della Chia then would get through this opening round. But a very rough start. This fight took place in Monaco, in fact.
Under that pain, we're going to fight with pain, brother. We're going to have to get it.
Bit of replay here, that long left hook from James Toney dropping Francesco Della Chia just before the half-minute stage. This is round 4, scheduled for 12, of course. Delicate had tasted plenty more punches in the second and third rounds. Big shot again there from Toney. And the final barrage of punches from James Toney. And referee Frank Cappuccino just a wee bit slow getting in there. But all over in round 4. As James Toney defends his IBF middleweight championship for the second time. He'd beaten Reggie Johnson, of course, on points prior to this one. Just watch the replay of the finish. Big left hook that started it off. As I say, Frank Cappuccino just a bit slow there getting in. And Delicate taking possibly 2 or 3 punches he needn't have. In fact, no one would have complained had the referee jumped in at this stage. We then saw Toney in action against Mike McCallum, great old servant of the game. And a lot of people, myself included, felt that Toney was very, very fortunate to get a draw with Mike McCallum. And even more fortunate to get the win over him. Then Doug DeWitt beaten in 6. This is round 5.
My goal in order to be the best, you gotta fight the best. I believe I'm the best, so I'll take on all comers. I don't duck nobody. If somebody out there say he's the best fighter out there, pound for pound, let me fight him. Let's see.
I just wanted everybody to know him because he didn't come off of an Olympic gold medal. He didn't come off of a very major amateur background. So I had to create something, and I knew how good he was, but I wanted everybody to know.
So there's Jackie Callum, the manager, and this is when James Toney added the IBF super middleweight champion, beating Iron Barkley in 9.
Each fight, one fight come out boxing, boxing points. Next fight can come out just raw. Next fight, like I said, this is varies. There's not one James Toney. It's all different kinds. I can fight like Ray Robinson. I can fight like Edward Childs. My old-time fight, I'm a throwback.
Ladies and gentlemen, a 2-time world champion, James Lights Out Toney.
And this is James Toney against Ricky Thomas, which took place in April of '93.
Both ears touch gloves, touch gloves, touch gloves.
And so much attitude, isn't there? Very childish there, both men refusing to touch gloves. This is round 9. And James Toney's had this habit of carrying fighters long enough to punish them. Considered quite spiteful by some. And no doubt he can fight, isn't it? Actually, no doubt about that at all, but it's all about attitude a lot of the time. And he's got that forthcoming match with Prince Charles Williams, the former light heavyweight champion. And I just think that might be the one that finds James Toney out. Of course, he's proved us wrong in the past, and he might just be able to raise his game sufficiently to beat Charles Williams. That's to be seen. And Toney's win over Dave Tiberi in an IBF middleweight title defence back in '92 actually caused some real consternation. It started off an FBI inquiry into the state of professional boxing. Everyone thought that Tiberi was a clear winner. Ricky Thomas a bit too game for his own good here. This a non-title fight. And already James Toney scaling a pound above the super middleweight limit in this match. So the chances of him ever seeing 160 pounds again, pretty remote. James Toney from Ann Arbor in Michigan. Once again, referee for this one, Frank Cappuccino. And what really brought James Toney to prominence was when Jackie Callan asked the Madison Square Garden matchmaker to get Toney a fight. So they put him in with Murky Sosa. And Thomas hits the deck at the end of round 9. He beat the count, come out for the 10th. To say, he fought Murky Sosa back in January of 91 and outpointed Sosa over 12 rounds. And Sosa was actually being promoted by Madison Square Garden, so they were none too happy about that. But it did put Toney on the map. Sosa was considered quite a prospect at the time. So the beginning of the end then for Ricky Thomas. Round 10. And last week I gave the game away. I got a letter from John Wiles from Watford, ironically, who complained that I released the scoring in the Thierry Jacob-Daniel Zaragoza fight. And I apologise to all of you, like John, who weren't too happy about that, as Frank Cappuccino stops Ricky Thomas from going any further, much to the chagrin of Thomas, as you saw, but he was going nowhere, hadn't won a round. So that would be the 38th time that James Toney would box and stay unbeaten. Just 2 draws against him, remember? One of those against Mike McCallum. The other against the old campaigner Sanderline Williams. And Toney, in fact, would go on to beat Williams just a couple of fights later.
It was all right. I could have did a little bit better. I had 3 weeks prepared for the fight, and hey, I did what I had to do. I got him out of there. I did something that nobody else could do. I never do make excuses. Like I said, everybody thought I was faking about the weight, but the weight was killing me at 160. Now I'm at a much comfortable weight at 168, and I feel better at 175. I can't wait. I'm relaxed with everything. I'm at peace with myself now. I'm fighting at a better weight class. I know the best fighter right now out there. Can't nobody out there beat me. That includes Roy Jones, Julian Jackson, whoever. I'm ready to fight anybody. I'm the best one out there. I'm ready to prove against anybody.
Well, it's still confident in that case.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm the best.
Okay.
The best.
Well, he's not too shy, is he, Toney?
All week since I've been in Vegas, I've been hearing how he gonna do this, how he gonna do that. So I seen him last night at the casino. He's trying to show off in front of one of these girls down there in the casino, so I have to confront him. I ain't no punk. He know who he messing with. He messing with a real fighter. He messing with no Roy Jones, no little cream puffs like that. So today, I was just a follow from last night. I don't like the guy.
That's right, he had a bit of a punch-up with Glenn Thomas in the casino prior to their match. And he couldn't get rid of Glenn Thomas. Thomas stuck around for the full 10 rounds. This was back in June of 93. Refresh your memories. And of course, the other claimants to the Super Middleweight Championship, Nigel Benn, WBC champion, Steve Little, who's the WBA champion, of course, who beat Michael Nunn recently, and Chris Eubank, who rules the WBO. Very little chance, of course, of either of those being able to upset James Toney. But that's another story. As I say, I got this letter from John Wiles complaining that I gave the game away. And because he was in Watford, I went round to see what he was moaning about. And he's quite right, of course. A lot of you, I didn't appreciate at the time, hadn't seen that fight originally. So for all of you who were a little bit upset at the fact that I gave the game away, I apologise. Anyway, the missus gave me a nice cup of coffee, so thank you for that, Joan. As I say, I'll try and avoid it in the future. And Ricky Thomas, of course, the namesake of Glenn Thomas, was beaten in 9, and there's no doubt that James Toney would have expected to get rid of this man, Glenn Thomas, before time. But Thomas had a point to prove after their bust-up the night before.
Let's go. Get over here. Time.
And a bit of bandage there coming undone on Toney's right glove. I've always said that's a bit of a waste of time. I don't know why they'd put that bandage on there in the first place. The lace and the cuff covering is quite sufficient. Maybe it just makes them feel just a wee bit more secure. Well, that hiatus has brought about a bit of action here in this 10th and final round as the bell goes. And Glenn Thomas delighted to have gone the full route. And as far as he's concerned, that's as good as a win.
Oh no, like James Toney, his style is not to fight no chumps, I like to follow everybody who won't give me a chance so I can show my wares against them, That's me. I like to fight the tough opponents out there.
Well, he didn't really take on too much in the shape of Daniel Garcia, who'd fought and got beaten by almost every middle and super middleweight in the world to date. But I suppose you could reckon that Garcia was a tough man. This was a month after the Glenn Thomas fight. And notice once again, familiar face of Frank Cappuccino, who seems to be James Toney's referee, isn't he? This is yet another non-title fight.
Keep it close, man.
Toney would make 5 non-title fights since he picked up the IBF super middleweight crown. James Toney, if you've noticed that Star of David on the left leg, is not Jewish, by the way. He wears that as a sign of tribute to the family of his manager Jackie Callan. Garcia then, just a punch bag really. As I say, as he has been a few times in the past. Looks a bit like an action man, doesn't he? Facially as well. So Garcia then getting a hard time. James Toney breaking Garcia up downstairs, slipping into the head, and he wouldn't come out for any more, so 6-round stoppage.
Fight, tactical fight because the guy is kind of strong. They had a good left hook, but we got the job done. We're still undefeated. We're the best. I'm challenging anybody out there. Prince Charles Williams called me out last month. Bring your butt. I'm gonna take care of you after I get done with Darren Van Horn, September 20th, baby. What's up, Bob Bam? We're gonna get busy. And Don King, you know what you did. You know what you did. We're on TV. We're on TV. I can't say your name. I can't say everything I want to say, but you know what you did. I'm with you forever, baby. Forever. Yeah, definitely. Fighting at 176, I feel strong. I feel very confident. I feel quick, and I won't have no problem. Just adjusting to it because I've been, like I said, been boxing big guys in the gym, and I fought 3 or 4 fights over the 70s years so far. Last year, excuse me.
So, James Toney then now scaling over the light heavyweight limit.
I don't like coming with a totally different approach than I had before. I've seen everything, so there's nothing you can do to fight me. He's a challenge for me because he is a 2-time world champion.
So James Toney then in action against Anthony Hembrick, and just prior to this he defended his super middleweight crown against Tony Thornton. And although James Toney is still considered to be the IBF super middleweight champion, he is in fact now a light heavy come cruiserweight.
Super middleweight champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney.
And this fight in January of this year.
To come to see you fight, not me referee, right? We understand that. Shake hands.
Anthony Hembrick, of course, beaten recently prior to this one by Henry Masker. This is round 6, scheduled for 10. Big thumping right hand there from Toney. And of course, Hembrick was speaking a good fight coming into this one. And Big Joe there having to pull Hembrick away, swiping James Toney from behind whilst the count was in progress. Well, we could put that down to a wee bit of confusion. But most probably just a bit of badness. And Hembrick's legs gone at the end of the 6th. Get down. So round 7 then. And Toney, of course, had Hembrick in his sights now. And I've always been a wee bit concerned, in fact, the last couple of years, about Hembrick. Whenever he gets a whack on the chin, those legs splay all over the place. And Toney's so confident, just damages the man, walks away, and it's all over in the 7th. Well, that's a look, anyway, at James Toney. I hope you've enjoyed that bit of coverage. And before we leave this section and go into our best fight section,